There have been numerous reports coming out, and they're all kind of crazy. But today, we're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers receiving offers for Trey Lance on the open market. And this comes kind of as a shock considering Brock Purdy, their last year superstar quarterback that raised from irrelevant to probably the most relevant quarterback in the league, tore his UCL. And Trey Lance is really the only other quarterback that has been on the 49ers roster for an extended period of time. Nevertheless, the 49ers are looking to trade Trey Lance off their team. And this comes as Trey Lance has only played and started 4 NFL games. And those 4 starts resulted in a 2-2 record. And there was glimpses of greatness there, and also glimpses of the inconsistencies many people understood when they took Trey Lance. He was only a 1-year starter in college, so you'd expect that he would need numerous amounts of games to actually get up to the NFL speed. And his first year, he didn't play at all really because Jimmy Garoppolo started that whole year. And this last season, unfortunately for Trey, he snapped his ankle running straight up the middle on the design quarterback run. A lot of controversy has gone through that play, but let's just say if it ends with your quarterback getting injured and missing out his second whole year, it probably wasn't the greatest play. Regardless of all of that, I want to go over the teams that are most likely to trade for Trey Lance, and the final team is going to be a team that I think the 49ers would trade him if they do decide to trade him. And right now, I just want to make it clear, the 49ers are receiving offers from other teams. They haven't yet reached out and said, hey, I want to trade Trey Lance for this much, but rather they're just picking up the phone and listening to what teams are saying. One of the most logical fits for trading for Trey Lance are the Tennessee Titans. They have Ryan Tannehill, but he only has 1 year remaining on his contract. And they also drafted Malik Willis last year, but he really hasn't played up to expectation. So what if the 49ers and the Tennessee Titans were able to work out a deal where the 49ers send maybe Trey Lance over to the Titans and the 49ers get back Malik Willis and a 7th? I don't really know Trey Lance's value, but there has been a report that Trey Lance is only worth a late 2nd rounder. And if that's the case, I don't know how you sell this trade to fans. If you're only able to get a late 2nd, early 3rd for Trey Lance, you just gave up 3 firsts and some other picks, and he's only started 4 games, and you still don't know exactly what you have. So how would the fans actually respond to having this trade? I think a lot of them would be kind of upset because they never actually got to see what Trey Lance was, especially if he goes on to the Tennessee Titans and just tears it up and goes insano style. But on to the next team. The next team that may trade for Trey Lance are the Houston Texans. Currently, they own the 2nd pick in the draft, but they may use that pick to pick up the number 1 overall prospect, Will Anderson Jr., who is an edge rusher rather than a quarterback. And if they go that route, they kind of need a quarterback. And a guy that's a huge factor in that is the current Houston Texans coach, DeMeco Ryans. And DeMeco Ryans is familiar with Trey Lance, considering he spent all last season and the prior season with him. So he has a greater understanding of what Lance can be and what he could be in his offense. So by trading for Trey Lance, the Houston Texans get a starter that DeMeco Ryans is familiar with and can build upon, since he has such a great set of skills, rather than pick up a quarterback with the 2nd overall pick. And this allows DeMeco Ryans to strengthen his defense, which I'm sure he's a fan of. And while any of these teams could trade for Trey Lance, this final team is the team that I envision trading for Trey Lance. And that is the Minnesota Vikings. And that was the home state of Trey Lance, where he was born in Marshall, Minnesota, which would kind of be fitting if he got traded back to his home state. But anyways, the Vikings and 49ers had discussions about Trey Lance at the NFL Scouting Combine. So their interest has already been reported. There's another part about this. The Vikings have Kirk Cousins. And this is his final real year of his contract. He can void out his other years if he would want. Brings up an interesting point. would the Minnesota Vikings be interested in trading Trey Lance for Kirk Cousins straight up? We know that Kyle Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins, and that offers the 49ers a quarterback that Kyle Shanahan understands how to utilize, what his strengths are, weaknesses, and how he sees the field. There's been so many reports about how much Kyle Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins, so I don't think we need to get in the weeds too much understanding why Kyle Shanahan would be a fan of this trade. Another part that's interesting, the 49ers are currently a built-to-win team, and they have a great quarterback, or that's what it looked like when Brock Purdy went on the field last year. But he is recovering, like I mentioned, from his UCL tear. So by bringing in Kirk Cousins, you have a ready-to-go starter who can lead your team from day one and hopefully into the Super Bowl. And this team is getting older, so they can't really be giving Trey Lance a whole lot of run room anymore to get up to speed and get ready for NFL action. Rather, he just needs to be ready when he starts. However, the Vikings could look at this and just decide to draft a quarterback that sits under Cousins for 1 year and then develops into a starter the following year. Cousins hits the open market and then can decide which team he would like to sign with. But of all teams, this one makes the most sense. It just says like something aligning in the stars, like Trey Lance wants to go home to his hometown and here's his opportunity, and then Kirk Cousins can finally reunite with Shanahan. All the stars align and everyone's happy. But this is the part of the video where we need to get real with ourselves. Do we really think the 49ers are willing to realize such a huge loss after seeing Trey Lance only start 4 games? For me personally, it's hard to imagine that the 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks with a bunch of other picks attached to that and are willing to just see it go into the wind, especially considering how many quarterbacks the 49ers go through during one season. Last year, they went through all of their quarterbacks on their roster and then some. And that's not just a fluky season, because that's how it's been with Kyle Shanahan's time with the 49ers. Every single year besides one, their quarterbacks have been hurt. So this is why I suggest the 49ers do not trade Trey Lance for a second pick or Kirk Cousins. Just let Trey Lance play on the 49ers and let the fans see what he is before you go and trade him away. It would be really embarrassing if you traded away Trey Lance to the Minnesota Vikings and he turned out to be the real franchise quarterback. So for those reasons, I'm not a fan of trading Trey Lance, but if he is traded, I see him going to the Minnesota Vikings. Those are just my thoughts on this whole situation. I want to hear your thoughts down below. It would also mean a ton if you subscribe and like the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means a ton.